Alrighty, part 2 here. I have taken the inverter apart carefully and everything. This is the bottom cover that slides in and everything. I'm going to set that over there. Here's the screws, and this little hole here, if you have trouble, it's there from the factory. If you have trouble getting it open, find something small enough that will fit in there, like this, and then wrap your fingers around the two outer edges and then give a good pull with the piece of metal. And I'll help you pull it out so you don't have to go and get the hammer and take the other side off. This side is always harder to get off because of the thick wires and stuff. This wire looks like it got a little munched when it went in the case. So I'm going to try to get these wires to sit better. That's a 250 volt capacitor, 2200 microfarad. There's some bleeder resistors. Everything. Are those bleeders or are they not? I didn't take a look. I don't think they are. They look to be wired in series. So they are probably something to do with the control logic for the output. This is an H bridge for the 120 volts. Everything. I am not sure that brand of transistor, but I'm worried about it. It's got 3 little puny filter caps. Of course, they're no name. These are 22,000 microfarads, 25 volt. At least they're 25 volt. And that's more than I can say for even a 400 watt inverter. I had a 300 watt inverter that only had 2 capacitors that were 1,000 microfarads apiece. I upgraded it to be 2 3,000 microfarad capacitors in the other inverter. My camera keeps thinking this is a face, the fan. It's so weird. I think it's these two things. It thinks, I don't know, 2 transformers and everything. I'm gonna pick this guy up and spin him around here and everything. I don't like the way they did the LED. They've kind of bent it around. So I'm going to untwist the LED and do it better. I'm not sure what color the LED is going to be. It's probably be green. Everything. If it's a green LED, I might swap it out for a different colored LED, like an amber orange one. There's the drive circuitry for these FETs here. And the driver transistors, I believe, are actually on this board. Can't see it because I don't know what this is. This is some sort of board. I don't know what it's doing. Everything. It seems a little loosey-goosey. If the inverter acts up, I'll check solder joints and resolder it if I have to. This is kind of a weird configuration. First I just thought they had the output shorted out, but it's not shorted. The hot side goes to the hot side of that, and then the neutral side goes to the neutral side. That is right. Yeah. Ground isn't connected. Although being that hole is there, I could actually put a ground line through and put ground on these, but I'm not going to worry about it because it's a hot neutral inverter. I'm not going to fuss. That's the logic circuit for the output stage. And maybe I can get you guys in there and you might be able to see the capacitor. What species that is. I don't know what brand it is. It's probably not very good. It's not going to last too long, but if this thing tests out on my workbench and actually works like I expect it to, I will go ahead and get some better capacitors and go ahead and populate them. 4 transistors, that's what I would expect for at least a 400 watt inverter. The outputs don't seem to change much. That capacitor I'll leave be because it's a high voltage cap, and generally these guys don't fail as often as the primary side, although I've seen these guys fail and then it takes out those and then that blows this drive board out. That one there, that says out on it, and then there's another one that says out on it too, and it says VH out. That's a voltage adjust. That means I could adjust the voltage on this. That means if it's not exactly at 120 volts, I could adjust that until it is. And I am suspicious this might be frequency. So I could adjust this thing up to 400 hertz if I wanted to, and have a 400 hertz inverter, or adjust it down to 50 cycles if I wanted to. Although I would adjust it up. Annoying me. Everything. Looks like some rectifier stuff and more filtering for whatever this board is doing. But one thing I'm going to mention, this board looks very similar to boards I have seen for sale where you can just buy them and everything. Got the filter caps, got that. It's got these two drive boards. This one is missing the third board. This third board might be a 12 volt to 5 volt converter for the USB. Although I don't like the USB being around the HV side of things, so I will probably go ahead and desolder this because that's really unsafe. Because if something in here arcs over to 5 volts, that's going to go right out and give you a good belt. Right thing. Wires are not, you know, I mean, they're okay. Everything. This wire here, I will probably do it better. It's a pretty nasty solder job. I will probably grab that at a different ground point. I will probably try to ground it actually on top of one of those copper bus bars there. Because that looks pretty nasty. And this wire feels pretty horrible. Everything. There's the fan control wire. It's a nice long wire. These, like I said, I'm going to adjust them. So part 3 will be up, and part 3 will be this thing back together, and it will be assembled. Be on my workbench, and I will test the frequency. I use a 120 volt to 6 volt transformer, AC to AC, and step down. So I step the 120 down to 12, and that forms an isolation transformer, and this guy's going to be running on a battery anyway, so you don't really have to worry about that. And these guys, they're okay. I wouldn't trust them for 400 watts. I would maybe put them past maybe 200 watts, but I wouldn't do any more than that. And this, I would just throw this in your emergency get me out of shit bin, but I wouldn't use that. I have better cigarette lighter ones that go to screw terminals, and these don't feel so bad. They're not horribly filling. I think they're captive too. I don't think if you unscrew these, I don't think you can lose them. Or maybe you can. Oh, yes you can. Yes, you can't lose them. It goes rolling onto the floor. They're not horrible. Brass insert. Nice thread. Standard thread. Looks like I can just, if I ever lost these, I could just put a bolt